This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
Recently in the House, the Right Honourable Speaker advocated for taxing cattle so as to increase the tax base. This House will begin taxing primary products of agriculture. Our dear judges, the two competitive sides plus the House plus the August House. My name is Aine Baba Sarah Patience. First of all, we are team affirmative, and we are saying we are going to tax according to the level of outputs. But the team negatives, they are claiming that we are going to overtax. We are saying we are not going to overtax, but we are going to tax according to the level of outputs. Our dear judges, they say that 88% are not registered, and that's why we are having a work plan. They ask them they pose to them a question that let them give us the current status about the tax, and they said it is 13%, which means that this 13% is low. That's why we want to tax both the primary
POI.
Granted.
Do we all find information from the same sources?
No.
Thank you.
13.9 is
POI.
Not granted. Please rest your case. It is the importance of paying tax, our dear judge. We are seeing that we are going to develop our country economically. That is to say, if we collect this revenue,
POI.
Not granted. Please rest your case. If we tax these primary products, we are going to see that we are going to increase on the tax base of Uganda, because that is the current situation that is going on, because Uganda is low in the tax. Not granted, please rest your case. And we are saying that we are going to tax according to the level of outputs, but the team negatives have failed to tell us how they are going to increase the tax base if they are not taxing the primary products of agriculture. Let them come and answer that question. They are also claiming about food security, that if we tax the primary products of agriculture, we are going to be affecting the food security. Then how can we improve food security without tax? That is why we are going to tax both the primary products. That is why we are going to tax the primary products of agriculture, so that we can increase on the tax base of Uganda. They are also claiming that 7 million of people are dodging to pay tax in Uganda. But how are they going to enforce? How are they going to enforce these people to pay tax? We are saying that if we tax these primary products of agriculture, we could stabilize prices and prevent market fluctuation by reducing oversupply or undersupply of certain products, our dear judges. We are also telling them that if we tax the primary products of agriculture, we are going to see that there is going to be environmental conservation. That is to say, if the government could tax the revenue to implement environmental conservation programs like promoting sustainable agriculture practice, we are going to see that these farmers are going to engage in taxing, and we are going to see that we are going to increase on the tax base, our dear judge, and we are going to see that we are going to develop as a country and increase on the tax base, so that we can improve on the agriculture sector and support farmers with subsidies, training programs and infrastructures, so that we can boost and promote economic growth. With that, I rest my case by saying we are going to tax according to the level of outputs. Thank you.
Shiraba Julie, resolved. Great thinkers speak the truth about the senselessness of squibbles. Ladies and gentlemen, their farmers are coming here and they're telling us that they're going to increase the tax base by taxing the primary products of agriculture. Let me tell you what they're doing. They're increasing the tax base of our ghost tax bases. Ladies and gentlemen, according to digital teachers.co.ug, causes of narrow tax base in Uganda include high degree of tax evasion and avoidance by the taxpayers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why we as the negators are bringing you tax compliance, because because the only reason as to why our current tax base is not enough is because the tax bases that we have right now are having taxpayers that are not compliant. If these people are going to come here and they're going to tell us that they're going to introduce a new tax base without compliant taxpayers, they're increasing the amount of ghost tax bases. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not going to lead to economic growth. They are telling us lies. They come here and then she tells us, they came and told us that they are going to tax according to the level of output. They were waiting for the negators to tell them that. They did not know. Why didn't their first speaker talk about it? Meaning they didn't plan for it. In other words, they are leading us to a dead end. Ladies and gentlemen, she came and asked us, how are you going to increase the tax base? I think I've talked about that, compliance. And then I talk about food security. They want to tax agriculture. The backbone of the economy of the country, agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, are we going to eat taxes? No. The only reason as to why we are reducing taxes on agriculture is because it is a sector that is fundamental for our food security. We are not going to let Ugandans starve because there is a person who is trying to tax primary products of agriculture. And then their third speaker comes and tells us that agriculture is charged less on direct taxes. Do they know that taxation of primary products of agriculture is an indirect tax? No, they don't know which taxes they're talking about. As a matter of fact, they did not even give us which percentage they are going to tax. And then they keep telling us we are going to do this, we are going to do that. They don't have a clear package. Ladies and gentlemen, we brought you 5 years because we as the parliament, we as the negators, we understand that the nation, we Ugandans need to promote our nation. And no, we are not going to do it by risking food security. Rather, we are going to sensitize the nationals. They are going to be able to become compliant taxpayers. She came and asked how we are going to be able to. I asked them, how are they going to be able to guarantee effectiveness? The third speaker failed to give me an answer. Should I give you an example of OTT tax? Almost each and every person here complained about OTT tax. Do you know why? I am a student, right? Am I not? I own a phone and I'm going to buy data. You're telling me to pay OTT tax? Why? I was not sensitized. It's the same thing that they're doing. They're talking about IFRIS. IFRIS is the reason as to why Uganda was closed, the towns, a few weeks back. IFRIS was overtaxing. They're putting policies. They're not sensitizing people. They're increasing charges on our people. So what are we trying to say? Even the taxpayers that they are talking about right now, on whom they want to charge, the owners of the primary products of agriculture right now don't want to pay. Do you know why? Because the farmers in the nation are already complaining about the upcoming tax. They're already complaining about it. They're not willing to become compliant. So what does that mean? Ghost tax bases. Ladies and gentlemen, they can't guarantee that. And then she came and said that my first speaker came and talked about 13.2%. Does she understand the meaning of the word ratio? We gave them ratio of tax to GDP. Ladies and gentlemen, they didn't do enough research. Kindly, farmers, kindly from the negator side, go back and research this resolution very well. Ladies and gentlemen, we have brought you this. We cannot afford to retax. Look at what we are losing because of lack of tax compliance. According to www.voanews.com, tax evasion has cost Uganda at least $1 million annually. What does that mean? Even if we increase the tax base, we are going to keep losing. Look, according to voanews.com, URA loses $270,000 per day due to smuggling. What is that? Tax evasion. Do the math with me, dear August House. $8,100,000. Tax compliance is the way. It is not taxing primary products of agriculture.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.